Hi everyone, Denise from Lost City Knits here again. I wanted to give you an update on the sweater that I've been knitting. Now it's called Autumn Color Pharaoh and it's a pattern in the book Sweaters from Camp. This is an iconic book, out of print, but I know a lot of you may have a copy of it at home. The pattern is actually the cover sweater designed by a friend of mine named Bats Lampers. Now I'm knitting with Jamieson and Smith jumper weight wool from Shetland. Really a great choice. Are you ready? Let's knit. So here we are with the two sleeves knit two at a time on one large circular needle. And I'm about ready to cut the steek on this. What I want to show you is that I did a provisional cast on here. 77 stitches for one sleeve, a steek bridge here of 5 stitches, 77 stitches for the second sleeve, and I did that as a provisional, but I've now put those on waste yarn, recovered those stitches, and the live stitches at the top are also on waste yarn. What I want to show you is that there are 5 stitches in the steek bridge, but I'll be cutting along the center one. So I have put one sleeve on waste yarn and the other sleeve on waste yarn that are not attached. Those waste yarns aren't. But I didn't include that one since I'll be cutting it. Now, one of the things you will notice is that right here I have a locking stitch marker and another one on the other side. What happened here, and is kind of a bonus for those of us who knit sleeves this way, is that I skipped around. So I actually skipped that round since I was working both sleeves at once on both sleeves. Now if I had been working these sleeves separately, I might have skipped that round on one sleeve but not on the second sleeve, and therefore one sleeve would be longer than the other. I'm going to take this marker out just to show you. What happened was that I missed the round at the bottom of this cross. I'm going to drop in a photo in just a second and show you exactly where I missed that, and what I'm going to do as far as fixing it will be to duplicate stitch that so it at least has the appearance of being corrected, even if I'm not adding a row in. And my point was that I didn't want to frog back to there to add a round. I can do a little bit of duplicate stitch and it will be fine. Nothing I've ever knit is perfect, and I suspect most knitters feel that way as well. So this is basically the shape of a trapezoid with 2 sleeves knit at 164 stitches beginning and 252 total stitches ending. Now here's a little close-up, and I want you to be able to see that this is supposed to be a little cross. 3 stitches, one above and one below. Now this was the round that I accidentally did not knit. I simply skipped it. So I'm going to duplicate that single stitch that's red into a blue, just as I would do at the bottom of this cross and at the bottom of this cross, and that will give me the appearance of a balanced pattern. It's an easy fix, and I think it is a good solution for this since I'll be fixing both sleeves. Now, a few words about the yarn that I'm using for this sweater. Now, I'm using Jamieson and Smith jumper weight wool from Shetland, and it is an ideal yarn for this project because I want to be cutting all the way up here. It's considered a sticky wool, which means that the fibers grab onto each other and they don't shift around too much. Now, if I were using merino wool, I would consider stabilizing this. I want to show you the 5 stitches within the steek bridge. You see a blue, red, orange, blue, red, orange, blue. Sometimes there may be 3 or 7 or even 9 stitches within that steek bridge. Every designer has their own preference, and they'll tell you how many to use. Usually an odd number is the way to go here. Now, as I said, if I were using, say, a merino wool, I would want to cut along that center, but I'd first stabilize it with a crochet. Now, a crochet chain going up one side of that center blue stitch, catching a blue and a red, going this way, and then coming back down, I would be catching the other side of that stitch, the blue leg, and the orange red to the other side. And then I would have 2 crochet chains down the center. And that just holds it a little bit steady. Personally, I don't do this if I don't do the crochet chain if I am cutting with Jamieson and Smith. I don't find it necessary because it's a good sticky wool, and I've never had any problems with the yarn dissolving to the right or to the left. Now, a few words about scissors. What you can see here is I have a small pair of Fiskars. You can use large scissors or even small travel scissors. It doesn't matter as long as you can control what you're working on and you can see well. Now I'm going to start down here, and as you remember, I have that blue center stitch on a locking stitch marker. I'm going to take that off right now because that's where I'm going to start. I want to make sure that my waste yarn for my provisional is out of the way. And I'm going to cut right up that center line. You'll notice that my hand is underneath my work, making sure that I don't catch anything that I'm not wanting to catch. So I'm still going right up that center stitch on the steek bridge. Now I'm getting back up to the top now. I just want to double check and make sure that I take the marker holding that center stitch out, so I don't have to worry about it. But I also want to keep making sure I go through that center line and I don't catch either of my waste yarns and cut them. So that's my first steek. Now here we are, we've cut one steek bridge up the center and we're ready to cut the second steek. What I want to show you is this is the steek that was my beginning of round and where I changed colors within the rounds that needed it. Now I've simply tied those two together with a little knot and I've combed out my long ends. I'm not going to worry about weaving those in, and I chose not to spit splice here because this all happens within the steek bridge and that will be grafted together. Now let me flip this over. I've simply combed some to the right and some to the left. Now here we're just going to do the same thing we did before. I've got a locking stitch marker down here that's holding that center blue stitch. I'm going to take that marker off. I'm paying attention to where my waste yarn is so I don't cut the waste yarn that's holding the live stitches. And again, I'm just going up the center section of that steek. And here I am getting close to the top again. And I want to take out this stitch marker so that center blue stitch is free. And I want to make sure that my waste yarns are on either side of what I'm cutting. So now I have two separate sleeves, as if I had knit those sleeves flat. So I have a little bit of trimming to do to get these out of the way, and then I'll graft the sleeves together so that I have two sleeves ready to go and put in the body of the sweater. I'll also come back after I graft this seam and take out those live stitches that are on the waste yarn and add the cuff. Alright, so I'm back with the sleeves, which have been grafted using mattress stitch here in a navy blue, and it gives a nice fine line there. I've also used duplicate stitch to fix the crosses here, which you can see make the error that I had made nearly invisible. So I have joined the sleeves to the body, and now I'm ready to move forward and knit from this portion up to the saddle shoulder, decreasing at each sleeve until I get the correct amount for the sleeve cap. And I'll be back in a week or so to show you progress on this.